Hi, this is your host Habibur Rahman and welcome to my show Azure Essential Series. In today's episode, we will talk about Azure Cache for Redis and how to accelerate your .NET Core apps. Microsoft Azure Cache for Redis is based on the popular open source Redis cache. It gives users access to a secure, dedicated Redis cache instance managed by Microsoft users. Get the best of both worlds. The rich Redis features, set and ecosystem, and reliable hosting and monitoring from Microsoft. Azure Cache for ADS helps you applications stay responsive even as a user load increases. It does not so by leveraging the low latency, high throughput capabilities of Radius engine. This separate distributed cache layer allows your data tier to scale independently for more efficient use of compute resources in your application layer. So let's start this. This is the agenda of our application. First of all, we will talk about Azure Cache for Radius, and then we will talk about the few key concepts of Azure Cache Radius. What is Azure Cache? What is Radius? And then we will go to Azure portal where we will create Azure Cache for Radius instance, and then we will integrate that into ASP.NET Core application. And at the end, we will have a Q&A session. So let's start this. So this is your host, Habibur Rahman. I'm two times C Shop Corner MVP, Microsoft Certified Solution Developer, and currently working as a lead software developer at Now Software. So here are the key concepts of Radius cache. First of all, what is cache? A cache is a temporary storage layer that holds a subset of data, typically in memory, to speed up data retrieval and reduce the load on backend data stores for a short limit of time. The main purpose of cache is to improve the performance of your application by enabling faster access to frequently accessed data. So, for example, you have an application and you have to retrieve data from the database, and there are a few type of data which is accessed too frequently. Then this may be a bottleneck for the performance of your application. So you can remove this bottleneck by introducing cache, and you can cache that data so that the frequently accessed data latency can be decreased and your performance can be increased. Then next we have Radius. What is Radius? Basically, Radius is a remote dictionary server. It's an open source in-memory data structure store used as a database, cache, and message broker. So it's basically in-memory database. Then we have Azure Cache for Redis. Basically, it's a managed caching service provided by Azure, built on the open source Redis platform. It offers secure, dedicated Redis instances managed by Azure. Then we have many use cases for Azure Cache for Redis. We commonly use this for improving application performance, enabling real-time analytics, session management, and caching web page content. Next, we have cache instance, basically a single Radius server instance managed by Azure, which can be configured with specific size, replication, and persistence settings. Then we have scaling option as well. So you can cache instance can be scaled up or down based on your application requirements. Then we have data structure. Azure Cache for ADS supports various data structures such as strings, hashes, lists, sorted sets, bitmaps, and hyperlogs. These data structures enable efficient storage and retrieval of data in different formats, supporting a wide range of use cases. Clusters Clusters consist of multiple Radius nodes working together to provide higher availability, scalability, and fault tolerance. Clustering allows horizontal scaling and enables large data sets to be partitioned across multiple nodes, improving performance and reliability. Replication. The process of copying data from one Redis node to one or more Redis nodes to ensure data redundancy and high availability. And the main purpose of replication is in case of a primary node failure, a replica node can automatically take over, minimizing downtime and data loss. Then we have persistence. Basically, Azure Cache for Redis offers data persistence options to save in-memory data to disk, ensuring data durability even in case of a node failure. Two common persistence methods are Redis database backup snapshots and AOF, basically append only file logs. Then we have security options. You can integrate Azure Cache for Redis with virtual networks to isolate cache instance within a private network. And you can manage access by role-based access control or integration with Azure Active Directory as well. We also have encryption options. You can encrypt your data both in transit and at rest to protect sensitive information in Azure Cache Radius. Then it also provides us monitoring and management. You can integrate with Azure Monitor for tracking performance metrics and tracking different user patterns and health status of cache instance. You can scale up the cache size and performance characteristics by changing the pricing tier. You can make it horizontal scaling by adding or removing nodes in a clustered configuration. It also provides us into enterprises level features. For example, advanced features available in premium tiers such as active geo replication, Redis on flash, and private endpoints. Then it also provides service level agreements that guarantee uptime and performance, and these are critical for enterprises level application. So, understanding these concepts helps in efficiently leveraging Azure Cache for Radius to enhance application performance, reliability, and scalability. Next, we have a common way to use Azure Cache. So this is basically cache aside pattern. In this pattern, this is the simplest one. For example, you are showing a record of student. So first of all, you will check that inside the cache. If it exists inside the cache, then you will show that to the customer. And if it don't exist in the cache, then you will retrieve that record from your database, and that may be any database, and then you will update that data into cache and will show to the user. And next time whenever customer will come, it will find the data from the cache if that data have not been expired. So this is the simplest pattern that mostly developers are using. And in today's episode, we will be using this pattern for our ASP.NET Core MVC application. So let's start this. First of all, we will create Azure Cache for Radius instance. Then we will move to create ASP.NET Core web apps. We will set up distributed cache inside ASP.NET Core. Then we will integrate Azure Cache for Radius, and then we will implement cache aside pattern, and we will see the result how it works. So let me share my screen. Okay. So I already have logged in my account. If you don't have an account on Azure, you can start a free trial or you can create a student account. So let's start this. First of all, uh, go to home, click on create a resource, and I will search for Azure Cache for Radius. Okay, here you can see that different services are showing. I will be using Azure Cache for Radius. So click on this. Microsoft is loading it for me. Okay, click on create button. Now it will move me to the create blade. Okay, first of all, I need to select the project details. I need to select the subscription, which is pay as you go. Then I need to select the resource group. I will select an existing resource group, AES, basically Azure Essential Series. Then we need to specify the instance details. This is the DNS name or the unique name that we will be using for accessing our Azure Cache. So we can specify any name. For example, I can say that AES demo.net. Okay, so make sure this name is unique. Okay, this name is unique and I can access it. Then we need to select the location and I will select East US. Then we have cache different pricings. So here you can see that different plans are available. We have basic plan, which is no SLA, and this basic plan not provide any service level agreement. Then we have a standard plan. This also provides the availability of 99.9%. Then we have premium plan, and then we have enterprises level plan. So these are different plans we can use for that. But in my episode, I will be using the basic plan, no SL, because I'm just doing it for proof of concept. Then we have cache size. So here you can see that different sizes are available, varying from 250 MB cache to 53 GB cache. So these are different sizes. I will select 250 MB cache. I think so that is enough for me. So click on next button. So here you can have different network connectivity options. So I want to make it publicly accessible so that I can test it with my local ASP.NET Core project. So I will go with the default setting. Then we have here few advanced settings. For example, you can select the Redis version. Currently, only one version is available here, so that is by default selected. We have non-TLS support. Then we have authentication options. We can also select here Microsoft Intra authentication, or we can select access key authentication. So I will be using access key authentication for my demo. Then click on tags. Here you can set any tag for your Azure resource. And now Azure is finalizing the requirement. So this is the details of my Azure Cache instance. So let's create this. This will basically take around 3 to 4 minutes to create Azure Cache for Redis. So let's wait for this. Currently it's submitting my deployment. Okay, my deployment is in progress. So meanwhile, when Azure is deploying my Azure Cache Radius instance, let's move to the ASP.NET Core MVC application. So I already have created one application. This is basically ASP.NET Core MVC application. This is the default template provided by Visual Studio. I already have created one CRUD operation on students. So let me show you that. This is the simple CRUD operation. And now we will integrate distributed cache inside our ASP.NET Core MVC application using Azure Cache. So let's move to students. Okay, so here you can see that a list of students is showing. I have added, created at, and updated at time inside my student record so that we can check whether this data is being cached or not. So here is the complete CRUD operation. I can specify different names here. I can specify a phone number here. and address, you can specify any address. This is just for testing purpose. So click on create button so you can see that a new student record have been created. You can see the details of the student and you can edit the student as well. And at the end, you can delete this student. So this is the complete CRUD operation we are performing on student entity. So now let's move to the code and let me show you the existing project. First of all, I have a student model. Basically, this is the domain model which I am using with my database. Inside this, I have ID, name, email, and other information of the student. And then at the end, we have two timestamps created and updated at. Then I have created one controller, which is basically a student controller, and this controller is performing CRUD operations on the student. And I also have views for the student controller. So this is the basic setup of my code project. So first of all, we need to install few Nugget packages. I already have installed those packages. So let me show you that. Basically, first of all, we need to install Microsoft.extensions.caching.stack exchange radius. So this is the built-in extension package provided by Microsoft, which basically connect I-distributed cache instance with the radius. And then we need to install stack exchange.radius package. This package will help us to communicate with Redis client synchronously and asynchronously. So you have to install these two packages. Okay, after installing these packages, first of all, you need to set your connections inside your app settings. So inside connection strings, inside radius connection, I have created a connection radius connection, and here you need to put your connection details. So we have to check whether our deployment have been completed or not. Still, it is showing deployment in progress. So we will currently move to the next. Next, inside program.cs file, we have to configure or we have to register this service, add exchange radius cache. So first, in the first option, you need to provide the radius connection string, and then you need to specify the instance name. So this can be any name which you are specifying your Azure Cache instance. So now after adding this service, ASP.NET Core MVC application will automatically connect with Azure Cache for radius, and I can access this using I distributed cache instance. Okay. Now the next option is I will create a cache service for accessing the records. So I will create a new folder here. I will say it's services, and inside this folder, I will create a class cache service, and I will be using this. First of all, I need a constructor and I need to inject one service, basically, which is I distributed cache. I can say it cache, inject it inside our constructor. Okay. So now I can access the Azure Cache for Radius using this I distributed cache instance. Next, I need to create two methods. The first method will be for setting my cache item. So I can say it set async. And first of all, I need to get the cache key. Basically, inside cache, we have to specify a unique cache key so that we can access our cache using this unique key. Okay. I am making this cache service a generic one. So I will be using generics here so that I can put any cache item with type safety. Okay. So this is the method, and now I need to call cache dot set string async, and inside this I need to put my item after serializing it into JSON. So I will be using JSON convert serialize object. It's giving me an error, so let's see what's wrong with it. Okay. So now what I am doing here, first of all, I am serializing my item into JSON and then saving that JSON as a string inside Azure Cache. So I need to put an await here and make this method async. So now this method will help me to set an item inside Azure Cache. The next option that I need to set is basically distributed cache entry options. And inside these options, we have different expiration settings. Basically, cache expiration tells when this value will be removed from the cache. For example, basically cache is an in-memory storage, so it's very expensive, and we only save the data which is very frequently accessed. So we will put an absolute expiration relative to now for this, and I will say time span from seconds. So which means after storing the data, uh, after 30 seconds, the item will be removed from our cache. So this is the setting whenever a new item will be set inside our cache. Then I need to create an instance. This will basically get the item from the Azure cache. I need to put only key here, and here I will say cache JSON await cache dot get string async, and here I need to put the key. So first of all, I will check whether this is null or not, and if it is null, we will return null, and I will say it nullable. And if this record exists, I will convert it into simple object after deserializing. So I will say it here and pass the cached JSON here. Okay, now what I am doing here, first of all, I am getting the saved string against this cache key, and then I am checking whether this is null or empty or not. And if this is null or empty, I am returning the null. And if this is not null, I am deserializing this into C sharp object. It's giving me an error. Okay. So this is my cache service. Let's generate an interface for this. Currently, I will add it into a new file. So here you can see that this is the interface using which I can access my cache service. Let me put a condition here so that only a class type can be passed inside this. So it is giving me an error. Okay, let's use it as it is. Okay. Now the next step is we need to register our cache service inside program.cs file. So here I will say it builder.services.add scope. I will be using this add a scope. So here I will say I cache service and then cache service. So now this will register my cache service inside dependency injection with request scope. Okay, let's see whether our Redis cache instance have been deployed or not. It is still showing in deployment in progress. Let's see this directly. Okay, so this was our instance aesdemo.net. Okay, still it is showing me the instance is currently creating. So let's wait for a few more minutes. It's taking too much time. Okay, now I have created my cache service. Now I will inject this inside my controller. Currently, I'm not using any architecture inside my project to make it simple. So that's why I will be accessing it directly. Let's create a read-only field here, iCache service, and inject this inside our constructor. Okay. Now, first of all, I will implement caching for my create, edit, and detail instance. So let's use this for details page. After checking whether ID is null or not, before getting the data from the database, so I can say here get from database. But before this, I will get this data from my Azure Cache. So let's access this by using cache service, the one which I have created, cache service dot get async, and here I want to get the student, and here is the key of the student. So for each student, we need to define a unique key. So I will be using student underscore ID as a unique key for student. So let me save this inside cache student. Okay. Now this will basically get the student record from cache. But what if this record does not exist? So first of all, I will say if this record exists, then return the cache record. And if this record does not exist, then first of all, get the data from the database and then save this data inside our service. So I will say set async and then student. I need to put the student key here. This will be same student underscore ID, and then I need to set the student record. So now this is the implementation of cache aside pattern in a very simple and very common way. So first of all, you are getting from the cache. If data exists in the cache, then show that data to the user. If that data does not exist, then get the data from the database and then save that data inside the cache so that whenever next time you get this data, you can see this. So let's put a breakpoint here. Now this will work fine, but before this we need to put our app settings because currently configuration, currently radius connection is not configured here. So first of all, we need to put that here. Let's check it again whether this instance have been created or not. It is still showing the instance is creating. So let's go to the back. I already have created one instance, so I will be using that one. For example, AES cache demo. So I will be using this instance. This is the same instance created with the same details. Okay, the newly instance also have been deployed, so let's use that. Currently, this status is running and the size of our cache is 250 MB. So click on show access keys. If that option is not showing, you can directly go inside authentication, and here you can see that there are two options. One is Microsoft intra authentication and the second one is access keys. So I will be using access keys. Then we have a simple key and the key with connection string for stack exchange dot radius. So I will be using this primary connection string. This is a complete connection string used for stack exchange dot radius package. So I will be using this. So let's copy this to clipboard and I will paste it here. Okay, now let's run our project. Currently, we will move line by line so that we can see if there is any problem or not. So, okay, let's refresh this. Okay, you can see that our project is working fine. Now let's click on details action. Okay, so click on F11 or press the F11 button so that we can go inside cache service. Okay, first of all, here check the key. So this is the key for student record. And okay, this cache JSON is currently null. So if this is null, return the default item. And in this case, this is null, so I am not returning this. Now I am getting the student from the database. So I got this record from the database. Now I am saving this inside the cache. So here you can see that this have been saved inside cache, and then click on continue. So this is showing. Now if I click on refresh button again, and let's go directly here. So now you can see that the cache student is not null here, because uh, now the record exists inside this cache. And if I see the detail, this is the same data that I have stored in my cache. So now this record will be exist inside my cache for only 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds, this record will be removed. And whenever I will refresh my page after 30 seconds, this will show me the cache student is again null. So let's click on continue button. Let's click on refresh button. And if I go this, so here you can see that my expiration time was 30 seconds. So that's why the record have been removed. So click on continue button. So now you can see that how we can cache the most frequently accessed data inside our database. Okay, so now the next action is on create operation. We need to add the newly created student inside our cache. So after changing the student record inside our database, I will save this inside our cache as well. So I will call this set async student, and I need to put the key here. And here I will say student underscore ID, student dot ID. And then I need to put the value of student. So now whenever a new student will be created, that record will also be saved inside our cache, so that whenever a newly record is accessed by the details page, it can also get it from the cache. So basically, all of these settings where you want to save your data inside cache or not, this totally depends on the business model or the requirements of your application. So you will always cache your data which is very frequently accessed. So this is for just demonstration purpose, so I will use it. Let's again put a breakpoint here. Let's run it to see that whether a newly created student is exist inside cache or not. So let's click on a create new button, and here I can say any name. I will say any dummy email. I will put any dummy phone number, and I will say it so by UAE. So this may be any record. So click on create button. So now the new record have been created here. If I see the detail page and if I move here, so you can see that I can get this record from my cache as well, because I saved this inside cache after creating the record. So click on continue button. Okay. Now, next thing is how to update this record inside our cache. So let's go to edit action, and after saving the changes, I will again save this inside my cache. So again, I will say student. Here I will say student underscore ID. I is capital. And after the cache key, I need to specify the instance details. So basically, this set async method is doing both things. Whenever you call set string async, if that string exists inside cache, it create a new string. But if that does not exist, if that exists inside cache, then it update the existing string. So this works basically for both operations. It performs upsell operation. So this will work for all of our changes. Currently, I am going to remove or comment this line of code here so that I can see the effect of cache on my record. So let's update this. Let me remove the breakpoint. I don't need it here now. Okay. If I click on refresh, currently this record was updated at 4:16:25 a.m. This is basically UTC time. So click on edit button, click on again save. So now updated at time will be updated. So currently it is showing me 4:40. If I go to detail page, so currently it is showing me again 4:40. Let's update this again. This is now 4:40 30 seconds. If I go to detail page, it is uh, showing me the updated one. Okay, so now you can see that how we can update our cache records as well. Now let me show you if you want to remove an item from the cache. So how you can do that. First of all, let me show you the effect of this. For example, I have removed one item from my database, and that data will not be removed from the cache. So let me show you that. If I click on this detail page, open it in a separate tab. So currently you can see that this one is showing. Let me do one thing here. I need to uncomment this line of code so that newly record is saved inside cache. So click on again. Okay, now refresh this page. So you can see that currently this record is showing for Umar Khan. So let me delete this record. Click on delete button. So now inside this list, this record is not showing because this is not coming from cache. But if I refresh this page, so you can see that still the record is showing because this record is coming from cache, not from database. So after 30 seconds, this record will be removed. Okay, so now you can see that after 30 seconds, the cache have been expired and now I am unable to get the record from my cache. So this was one effect of the cache. So that's why whenever you delete a record, you need to remove that item from the cache. One option is that you can set that cache item as a null. So let me check that. If I check whether there is an option for deleting or not, so you can see that we have only two options. One is get string, set async, get string. Here we have remove async. So I will implement this for removing. Okay, now I need to get the key here and I will call cache dot remove async. And inside this, I need to specify the key. Okay, now let's add this inside my interface so that I can access it inside my controller. And now after deleting the record inside database, let's remove that from cache service as well. So here I need to again specify the cache key student.id. So now after removing this record from the database, I will also remove this record from the student as well. Okay, let's run this to see whether that effect is still showing or not. Let me close extra tabs, click on refresh button. So currently two records are showing. Let's click on Sufyan Yaqub record. So this is the detail page. Let me open it inside a new tab. So this record is showing. Let me delete this. Okay, now it should be removed from the cache as well. So now you can see that the record have been removed from the cache as well. So this is how you can save your data inside cache. Now only one action is left, which is basically the index option. So it is not a good approach to cache all the student list or all the records inside your cache because it can increase the burden of your cache and there is no benefit for saving all the records inside cache. But still I will show you how you can save a list of student inside your cache. So that is very simple. You can use the existing methods that I have created inside cache service. So I will say cache service dot get async Now this time I need to get a list of students, but we cannot aggregate all the students that we have created separately inside our cache. We have to store that separately. But again, this is not a good approach. So don't use this for your production apps. For learning purpose, it is okay. So now if cache student is not null, I will return in this inside my view. So if this record does not exist inside cache, I will get it from database and then save it inside my cache. Here I need to specify the key and then database students. Okay, now I am setting this record inside cache in a separate key. Okay, now whenever I will update my record, that will not show on my main table until the existing cache will be expired. So if I open students controller, now you can see that currently this is showing 3:38:27. If I click on edit button and save it, still it is showing me the old updated time, because now this data is also coming from cache. So click on refresh button, 3:38:27. Still the old record is showing. So we can keep checking this. Okay, so now you can see that the updated time has been updated from 3 to 4:47:52. So this is, you can see how the cache is working inside our ASP.NET Core MVC application. So this was distributed cache. If I open the overview of my cache, here you can see that this is the used maximum memory, that is 559 KB, and this is the server load, which is basically 13%. So you can see the health status of your Azure Cache for Redis inside your Azure portal as well. And then here we have scaling option. So for example, currently we are using 256 MB cache and the estimated cost is $40 per month. So basically you can see that the cache is very expensive memory because it's in memory database. But if you are interested to upgrade, you just need to click on the other package. For example, you want 2.5 gigabyte cache, so you can click on this and then you can select this option. So this will be automatically scaled up to 2.5 GB cache. So this is very good thing if your server is out of memory for your cache database, so you can upgrade this. You can also make cluster sizes. Basically, cluster is a group of Azure Cache instances. So you can make this. Currently, I'm using the basic plan. So you can see that cluster is not available inside premium tier. So you can, there are a lot of configurations. You can make that. You can connect it with Azure Insights for monitoring purpose. So these are our options available. Okay, let me go to the slides again. Okay, so this was how we created Azure Cache for Redis instance using Azure portal. Then we see how to integrate that in ASP.NET Core application. We also have integrated Azure Cache as a distributed cache inside our ASP.NET Core application. And we also see how cache aside pattern works. And at the end, I also show you how distributed cache reflects in our application. In next Saturday, join us for the 10th episode of our Azure Essential series. And in this episode, we will dive into Azure Insights, a suite of monitoring and diagnostic tools designed to help troubleshoot and optimize your application. And in that episode, we will explore how Azure Insights can provide deep visibility in your application performance, identify issues, and help you maintain your high availability and reliability. So you can join for 10 episode on C Shop TV. Thank you so much for being the part of C Shop Corner Islamabad chapter. And if you are interested to access the code of today episode, you can access it my Azure GitHub account Habib-developer slash Azure Essential series. And you can watch the previous episodes on C Shop Corner slash lives of slash Azure Essentials. So thank you so much again and see you in next episode. Have a good day. Bye bye.